What's up, sexies? I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you. I missed us. So, this video is made due to popular demand. And by popular demand, I mean there's been one person who's been bugging me to make a YouTube video for a really long time now. I hope you're happy. So, let me give you a little update. Recently, my school has been giving out money like there's no tomorrow. And I thought, what better way to spend this free money than to buy some expensive steaks. So that's exactly what we're doing today. Today, we're gonna learn how to reverse sear the perfect steak. I call this one low and slow, hot and fast. And you'll see why in a little bit. Ready? Let's cook. So for this recipe, I'm gonna try to keep it super simple for you because I did buy a higher quality grade of beef. So we're just gonna need, of course, our steak. You're gonna wanna make it at least 1.5 to 2 inch steaks. Salt, coarsely ground black pepper, garlic, rosemary, and what looks like to be an unhealthy amount of butter. Oh, and some high heat cooking oil. We're using grapeseed today. Now, when seasoning a steak this big, we have to realize this is a big boy. It can take a lot. And we're not gonna be eating the salty parts of it because we're gonna be cutting it this way. So in reality, we're only gonna get a little bit of salt. So, like generously, and I mean generously, season this thing. It can take a lot. A little bit more than you might think you need. Make sure we salt every nook and cranny, every crevice, and of course we want to make sure we salt this fat cap. This is where the magic happens. Then our pepper, and you're gonna try to want to pack it in there. Get as much seasoning as you can on there. And when you think you're doing too much, stop. Put a little bit more, and then you're done. Now, the thing with these types of steaks is that a lot of the seasoning is gonna come off when you cook it. So we gotta make sure that they're seasoned very, very well. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a baking dish and a wire rack. I don't necessarily have a wire rack, but I do have this. And as long as the steak is elevated and away from direct heat or direct metal, then we should be okay. We're just gonna plop our steak on there nice and tight. Give it a little pat, let it, marinate. And it's just gonna do its thing in the oven for at least 45 minutes or until we get the desired temperature we want, depending on how well you like it done. Now the method that we're gonna be using today is called reverse searing it, which basically means that we're gonna put our oven at a very low temperature, cook it for a long time, and then as soon as it's done, we're gonna sear it as hard as we can. Very fast, give it like 30 seconds on each side, and that's it. Now, this method is a little bit more labor intensive and time consuming, but it'll get you perfect steak every time. Alright, oven's done preheating, and we're just gonna stick it into the oven. Set a timer for 40 to 45 minutes. I'd like to take this time to thank our video's two sponsors, UTRGBs for giving out money so I can buy the steaks, and my mom for letting me use her kitchen so I could do my stupid YouTube videos. Also, subscribe to my mom's YouTube, Casalija, link in the description. Alright, timer's done. We pulled that out of the oven, and sad to say, it looks not that appetizing. You see how it's all gray and flabby, and this is where the next part comes in. We're gonna sear it so it gets that nice crust while maintaining a nice medium rare throughout. Now, watch carefully because this entire process of searing it takes very little time. What we want to do is want to get our pan ripping, and I mean screaming hot. So for an induction burner or an electric stove, we're gonna put it at like, I don't know, like a medium, right? We don't want to go on high because it gets super hot, then it's gonna burn. We want to get it just hot enough to where we get a nice sear, but not hot enough to where we burn anything, Now, once our pan is screaming hot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our steak with a pair of tongs and just drop it in. And you wanna hear that noise almost immediately. Now at this point, things are gonna get a little bit smoky, and by a little bit, I mean depending on how hot you have your thing, it's gonna get very smoky. So, I don't know, crack a window or something, turn on the vents, do whatever you can to make sure you don't set off your fire alarm. Alright, now, once about 30 seconds has been done, we're gonna flip it, and you see that nice sear that we get. Alright, so from here, we're gonna take what looks like a very unhealthy amount of butter, and we're just gonna start spooning that in. Take our steak, move it to the side, and tilt our pan, and start butter basting. At this point, go ahead and drop in a crushed clove of garlic, and our rosemary sprig. And then just tilt your pan and keep spooning it on top. Now, once we get a nice crust on both sides, we can't disregard the fat cap. So we're gonna turn it onto the fat cap side and just sear it for a very long time until it gets nice and crispy. Now at this point, our steak is basically done cooking, but we're gonna let it rest for at least 5 minutes so that the carryover cooking process lets it cook to that nice medium rare that we want. If we stick a thermometer or a food probe into the thickest part of the steak, our target is at about 155 degrees. Now, I can't stress enough the importance of letting a steak rest. You know, you gotta give it a chance to reabsorb all of its juices, because if you cut into it right now, it's just gonna be a mess. All the juice is gonna spill out and you're gonna be left with a dry steak. I mean, come on, bro! Real beefy, salty, pepper. It's not too salty because, again, you only salted the crust. So everything else is just pure beef. Good marbling, so you get that fat in there.